All right, let's try and understand this move better and understand the ground situation better. On the broadcast, I'm joined by General Dhruv Katoch. He's Director, India Foundation. I'm also joined by Ravi Shankar Ravi. He's the editor at Dainik Purvodaya. Good evening and welcome to both of you. रवि शंकर जी, आपसे शुरुआत करना चाहूँगी. ये मूव कैसे देखा जा रहा है बाय लोकल ग्रुप्स? मिक्स्ड रिएक्शंस आए हैं, बट सो फार नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न लोग जो हैं, वहाँ के सिटीजन्स जो हैं, उनका क्या रिएक्शन है, क्या फीडबैक है ये जो डिसीजन लिया है होम मिनिस्ट्री ने ऑफ स्क्रैपिंग फ्री मूवमेंट रिजीम?
श्रेया, जैसा कि अभी आप अपनी रिपोर्ट में बता भी रही थी और वही वही सच्चाई है जमीनी कि जो सीमावर्ती इलाके के जो लोग हैं, खास करके मिजोरम, नागालैंड और मणिपुर के जो जिनकी सीमा सटती है, जिनके घर, जिनके पड़ोसी सीमा के उस पार हैं, उनको इस फैसले से तकलीफ है और इस फैसले पर आपत्ति है। देखिए, ये ठीक है, ये भारत की आंतरिक सुरक्षा का मामला है और भारत सरकार ने जो भी फैसला लिया है, वो काफी सोच समझ कर लिया है, लेकिन इसके पीछे मुख्यतः वो जो मणिपुर में जो हिंसक घटनाएं घटी और उसके पीछे ये कहा गया कि म्यांमार से अवैध नागरिकों का प्रवेश जारी है, खास करके जो कुकी बहुल इलाकों में है। उसकी कहीं ना कहीं इसकी वजह यह देखी जा रही है कि मणिपुर की हिंसा के बाद इस बारे में केंद्र सरकार ने ये फैसला लिया और आज अचानक उसने जो मुक्त आवाजाही थी सीमा के इस पार से उस पार तक, उसको तत्काल निलंबित कर दिया गया। हालांकि चर्चा काफी दिनों से चल रही है कि सीमा पर बाड़ लगाई जाएगी और वो 1643 किलोमीटर जो बॉर्डर है भारत और म्यांमार का, जिसमें नागालैंड भी है, मणिपुर भी है, अरुणाचल प्रदेश भी है, मिजोरम भी है, तो वहां पर बॉर्डर फेंसिंग करना, हालांकि ये बहुत ही इम्प्रैक्टिकल है क्योंकि वो जो दुर्गम पहाड़ियां हैं, गहरी घाटियां हैं और उनके बीच में और गहरे घने जंगल हैं, उनके बीच में कैसे क्या फेंसिंग होगी वह देखने वाली बात होगी। लेकिन एक चीज जो समझने ये गया है कि रियो, नागालैंड के मुख्यमंत्री रियो ने जो ऑब्जेक्ट किया है, दरअसल देखिए दिक्कत ये है
जी
कि जो सीमा पर जो नागा लोग हैं, तांकुल नागा खास करके, और उधर जो मिजो लोग हैं, उनके आपस में शादी विवाह होती है, रिश्तेदारी है और अभी तक चूंकि मुक्त सीमा थी तो लोग आराम से आना जाना किया करते थे, इधर से उधर जाते थे, उधर से इधर आते थे, एक दूसरे का उत्सव, पर्व, त्योहार, शादी विवाह सब एक साथ मनाते थे। तो अचानक इस तरह के फैसले आने से उनको थोड़ी असुविधा हो रही है। तो मुझे ये लगता है कि भारत सरकार को
ठीक है.
देश की आंतरिक सुरक्षा को ध्यान में रखने के साथ साथ, जैसे नागा काउंसिल ने, यूनाइटेड नागा काउंसिल ने जो एक सुझाव दिया है कि हम नहीं चाहते हैं कि अवैध घुसपैठ हो, ड्रग्स भी, उसकी भी तस्करी ना हो, तो कुछ गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को कुछ अल्टरनेट डिसीजन लेना चाहिए इसको लेकर, ताकि सीधे इसको लागू करने के बजाय जो जो स्टेक होल्डर हैं, जो लोग इनसे प्रभावित हो रहे हैं, कम से कम उनसे बातचीत की जाए, उनके कंसर्न को सुना जाए और वो सारे लोग कहीं ना कहीं इस चीज से सहमत हैं कि अवैध घुसपैठ भी नहीं हो, ड्रग्स की तस्करी भी नहीं हो, लेकिन एक ये सच भी, अब जैसे अरुणाचल प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री ने इसका वेलकम किया है, क्योंकि म्यांमार की सीमा से जो नागा उग्रवादी हैं, वो पूर्वी अरुणाचल जो है वहां पर आकर वो डिस्टर्ब करते हैं, वो लोगों को परेशान करते हैं। इवन असम में जो उल्फा उग्रवादी हैं, वो उसी रास्ते से असम आने जाने का उपयोग करते हैं। तो अरुणाचल और असम का कंसर्न समझ में आता है कि वो इस फैसले से खुश है।
ठीक है, तो दोनों प्रोज और कॉन्स हैं वहां पे जो ग्राउंड सिचुएशन है. General Katoch, the fact of the matter is that there might be relationships, there might be weddings happening, as Ravi Shankar ji said. But the fact of the matter is that, yes, India has also seen infiltration over the past several decades. We have seen the problem of drug trafficking, of arms smuggling, of insurgency that has happened. Is there an alternative, as the Nagaland Chief Minister is saying that there should be an alternative, option or move that should be made? Is there any other alternative except suspending the FMR and fencing the border?
Thank you, Shreya. Shreya, I just want to talk about the security situation first. Basically, when the security situation in Myanmar gets disrupted, the impact is on India. Now, at this point of time, there are three ethnic armed organizations which are fighting against the government. And we are looking at a state of civil war in Myanmar. Now, with this state of civil war, it gives a great deal of heft to terrorist organizations or their supporters to infiltrate into India. At the same time, you can also see the Chinese, if they with their activities in Myanmar, and there are certain Indian groups or Indian individuals who have actually gone to China for training. Now, it gives a handle to China also to send these people in. So, as far as the FMR is concerned, I think the government's concerns are genuine, and doing away with it, I think, is appropriate. This is one. Now, there are genuine concerns as brought out by Mr. Ravi ji that there is intermarriages and family relationships across the border. Now, those concerns can be addressed. I don't think it is such a serious problem. Those concerns can be addressed, but to give a unilateral 16-kilometer FMR is really giving a handle to the wrong set of people who will misuse it. The second aspect is really the fencing. Now, fencing, there are certain challenges as far as fencing is concerned because it's a very long border. And if you have to fence it, then the only way the fence will be effective is that it has to be guarded 24/7. If you don't guard the fence, then you are not preventing infiltration. You are not preventing the movement of terrorist organizations or groups or anything like that. So if you have to guard this border, you will require at least about 16 to 20,000 troops, and then they will have to be rotated. So it's a very big task. Alternately, I think we also have to look at certain alternatives. While this is one of the options available to fence it, the second option, I think, is to fence only certain critical areas and keep the rest under surveillance. Now, the surveillance is one aspect of it, but empowering the villages on the border, I think, is a very, very important aspect. So, if we can empower the villages who will act as our eyes and ears and be the people who can give you the first information, then the troops can be kept in reserve. A smaller quantity of troops can be kept in reserve who can move to the area and act in a reasonable time frame. So this fence will have to be the FMR going away. I personally think it's okay because those concerns can be addressed. As far as the fence is concerned, I think it would require much more serious thought as to how we are going to do the fence. Are we going to do the whole fence? It would require repairs every year. How many troops are there to guard it? Unless all those factors are worked out, the mere fact of building a fence is not going to give you the security which you so desire. Share.
ओके रविशंकर जी, एक डेमोग्राफिक स्टेबिलिटी की भी बात की है सरकार ने कि उसको स्टेबल किया जाए, उसके बारे में थोड़ा समझाइए। ऑन ग्राउंड कैसे एफएमआर की स्क्रैपिंग से वो डेमोग्राफिक्स जो सरकार उसके बारे में बात कर रही है वो कैसे बैलेंस होगी?
देखिए, ध्रुव जी ने जो एक बात कही कि ये इम्प्रैक्टिकल है। जो म्यांमार और इंडिया का जो बॉर्डर है वो इस तरह का टेरेन है, इस तरह की ज्योग्राफी है कि उसमें फेंस बॉर्डर लगाना वो बहुत ही मुश्किल है, और उसकी पेट्रोलिंग और उस सड़क का निर्माण वो संभव ही नहीं है, नॉट पॉसिबल। लेकिन एक चीज और है कि जो लोकल लोगों के कंसर्न है, मुझे लगता है कि भारत सरकार को इसको लेकर, जैसे कि आना जाना हो लोगों का, ठीक है, वैध तरीके से आया जाए, कुछ बॉर्डर बनाए जाए जहां पर लोगों को ये इजाजत मिले। एक्चुअली मेरा ये कंसर्न ये है कि जो लोकल लोगों की जो आशंकाएं हैं उसको एड्रेस किया जाए, उनको कन्विंस किया जाए कि यह जो रोक लगी है, तत्काल प्रभाव से जो मुक्त आवाजाही पर रोक लगी है, उसको उसको जो लोगों की समस्याएं हैं, जो लोगों की आशंकाएं हैं, उसको समझाया जाए, उनको कन्विंस किया जाए, क्योंकि ऑल आर इंडियन सिटीजन, उनको भारत के आंतरिक सुरक्षा की चिंता है, लेकिन इसके साथ साथ उनको अपने रिश्ते, अपने भाईचारा, क्योंकि वो उन्हीं के कम्युनिटी के लोग हैं, उनके अपने लोग हैं, तो उनका आना जाना जारी रहे, उनके साथ संबंध बनाना रहे, तो मुझे लगता है कि भारत सरकार को इसके लिए ऐसे ग्रुप को समझाने का प्रयास करना चाहिए, बजाय ऐसे इसके कि दिल्ली से आपने एक आदेश पारित कर दिया। मुझे लगता है कि ग्राउंड रियलिटी पर जाकर लोगों को अलग-अलग ग्रुप में सिचुएशन को समझाना चाहिए।
And Ji, Ji. General Katoch, do you think that has not been done enough over the past several decades? The communication, the transparent outreach has to be more from the side of the government and the security forces?
Very frankly, I think a great deal has been done since independence. This is not something which has happened in the last 2 or 3 years or 4 years. This has been going on since 1947. So, as far as the locals are concerned, they are quite aware as to what the situation is. Now, I have served for 2 years in Mizoram, and I've seen that entire border. So, there are Chins on the other side who keep coming, but they go back. So I really don't see any of those Chins coming into India and settling down unless the situation in Myanmar gets so destabilized that we have, hundreds of thousands of refugees coming into India. And we can't allow that. This is not a place where, that we accept each and everybody who wants to come in. We are a poor country. We have to look after our own people. And I think this is one aspect which has to be told to the border villages that if you allow these people to come in, then they will be eating into your resources. So that is not that, in my view, is not acceptable.
Yeah.
But we can make certain arrangements because it is not every village which has relatives across. The number of people who are so affected is limited. We can make arrangements for that limited number of people, but it cannot be made, in my view, there's no reason to give it a blanket sanction that there is a 16-kilometer FMR, which is available to each and everybody. It is not required for each and everybody. It is only required for a certain number of villages which are located back on the international border. So that can be worked out. The more important part, I still feel, is that fencing, because it is very difficult to guard that fence unless you put in the requisite number of security forces. That will remain a challenge, and how that is to be addressed, I think, requires a great deal of wisdom, I would say. Simply building a fence is not the solution to our problem. Shreya.
And therefore, what's the way forward? If quickly you had to tell us, General Katoch, then what's the way forward in actually, implementing this on ground in terms of long-term peace that we want to see in the region?
I would put it this way, that there has to be a combination of two things. One is, in my view, do away with the FMR. But for the people who are impacted, you can give them passes from both sides. Okay, you are the type of people, you can come up to here. They don't need to come 16 kilometers. They have to go to a certain village and they can go there. Number two, I think along the border, have a number of trading posts. You don't have to limit them. You can have a 20 or 30 or 40 of them where minor trade can take place. Those hearts, I think, need to come up. Number three, restrict the fence to those areas where you don't want to patrol and where movement is very difficult. So the aim will be achieved.
Okay.
And a lesser quantum of troops will be required to protect the fence, as also to maintain the fence. And lastly, I think the most important point which I would like to give is, please empower the villages. The people who are on the border villages, they need to be empowered. They need to be given certain facilities which will facilitate both their life, their welfare, their livelihood, as also the security of the nation. If we can do these multiple measures, then I think that is a better bet. There is a very live problem which is existing. It cannot be wished away. And that live problem is there only for one reason. It is because of instability in Myanmar. And I don't see that instability going away. So we will have to do something about it. Otherwise, we are going to have hundreds of thousands of refugees coming in. And I'm afraid a large number of Rohingyas will also get in. So that is going to be an added danger which we would have to face.
Okay, a lot of concerns, yes, that India has to look at. Yeah, and we are taking one step at a time. Of course, implementation remains a challenge. We'll leave it there. General Katoch and Ravi Shankar Ravi, thank you very much to both of you for joining us on Nation Tonight.